The internet today has had the bumpers put on, as if we're children using a bowling ball for the first time. Do you remember what the internet was like growing up? It felt like the Wild West. Every website seemed important and full of mystery. Now maybe it felt that way because I was a young child when my family first got a home computer. But within all of the mystery and wonder, there was a dark side of the internet. A very dark side, where you could do and see some horrific things, many of which would have scarred my young mind if I had stumbled upon them. Today we're talking about some of the darkest internet mysteries that are still prompting questions and in some cases are still being investigated today. Let's start at the beginning. In December of 2007, before Reddit was the cultural institution it is today, a user created an account under the handle Religion of Peace. He referred to himself as an old man, someone born in 1930, with an extensive military background. He was gruff, opinionated, and seemed like just another early internet personality. He also ran a small image hosting website called LakeCityQuietPills.com. For 2 years, he was a fixture of Reddit. People liked him. And then, in July of 2009, another user going by the handle 26 showed up with a brief, grief-stricken post announcing that the man known as Milo had died. The poster claimed to be his hosting provider. He said they met in the army. In broken, barely punctuated sentences, he wrote something that struck with people who read it. Something like, "I didn't know so many people could like him that didn't sling a gun with him." It was sad. Touching even. And then people started looking at the website. Hidden within the pages of LakeCityQuietPills.com were strange, cryptic posts. What seemed, on the surface, to be mundane content began to look, to some investigators, like something else entirely. Job postings, payment confirmations, target lists. The theory began circulating was dark, that Milo had been quietly running an online marketplace for contract killers, hiding in plain sight on a nearly unvisited corner of the web. It only got stranger from there. On Fark.com, a news aggregator site, an account called Angel26 had been created 7 years before Milo's death. Its bio read, "Dispensing Lake City Quiet Pills to lousy bastards in need of permanent rest since 1968. Lake City, as in the Lake City Army ammunition plant, and Quiet Pills being a chilling piece of military slang." And crucially, the spelling errors in Angel 26's post matched those of 26's grief post almost exactly. But neither matched Milo's own writing, suggesting these were genuinely different people with a history that stretched back years before Reddit. Then came January of 2010. A Hamas military commander named Mohammed al-Mabhouh was assassinated in a Dubai hotel room. Internet investigators feverishly began overlaying dates, comparing the timelines of the supposed LCQP postings to the assassination. For a brief, breathless moment, it seemed like the threads were connecting. Well, they didn't. That particular theory has since been debunked. The connection amounted to little more than matching calendar dates between two separate events. But even with that thread cut, others remain. The current owner of LakeCityQuietPills.com has requested to be excluded from the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine. Whatever was buried in the older versions of that website is now likely gone forever. Was it a Hitman network, an ARG, an alternate reality game crafted by someone with military experience and a lot of time? Or was it the strange, genuine digital footprint of a real old soldier with a dark sense of humor? The answer as of today is, we don't know. Not every internet mystery involves codes or crime scenes. Some are disturbing in a quieter, more deeply unsettling way, because they sit right on the edge of something real and something unknowable. Sometime in the mid-2000s, a blog appeared online. It was written by a man identifying himself only as Harry, the adoptive father of a boy he called Lucas. Lucas had been adopted at age 6 after a childhood of documented neglect, abuse, and instability. He had been shuffled between caregivers. By the time Harry and his partner adopted him, Lucas had an official clinical diagnosis, reactive attachment disorder. But Harry believed the diagnosis wasn't strong enough. In post after post, he described a child who showed no remorse, no empathy, no response to punishment or reward. A child who, by Harry's account, was fundamentally different from other children. Not wounded, but simply hollow in some way that Harry couldn't explain and couldn't reach. He used one word for it: psychopath. The blog drew significant online attention and divided readers immediately. On one side were people who found it heartbreaking and believable, a father documenting in real time the exhausting and terrifying experience of raising a child who may be genuinely dangerous. Harry described incidents that escalated over time. In one case, Lucas broke into a neighbor's home and left explicit photographs of himself on their digital camera. On the other side were readers, many of them mental health professionals, who were deeply critical of Harry's framing. Psychopath isn't a formal clinical diagnosis. Personality disorders cannot be diagnosed in children because children are still developing. Critics pointed out that Harry seemed to be working from internet checklists that were designed for his son's age group, and accused him of unconsciously or consciously seeking confirmation of a belief he'd already formed. The debate raged. Was Harry a desperate father documenting a genuine tragedy? Was he misinterpreting a deeply traumatized child? Or was the blog itself something else? An elaborate fiction? The blog is no longer accessible. Harry's real identity was never confirmed. Lucas's real identity was never confirmed. No follow-up was ever published. Whatever happened in that house, whatever became of that child in that family, it disappeared from the internet as quickly as it arrived. The case remains unsolved. On June 25th of 2015, a YouTube channel called Obscure Horror Corner, run by an Irish YouTuber named Jamie, uploaded a video with a simple, unsettling description. He said an anonymous subscriber had sent him a link to a game found on the dark web. He called it the creepiest thing he'd ever played. The game was called Sad Satan. In it, the player walks through dimly lit, crumbling corridors in first person. There are no objectives, no enemies, no win condition. Just flickering hallways and walls that seem to breathe, interrupted periodically by full-screen flashes of disturbing imagery. The audio was deeply wrong. Reversed recordings, distorted voices, layered sound that seemed designed not to entertain but to unsettle at a neurological level. Jamie uploaded 5 gameplay videos. They went viral almost immediately. But here's where it gets darker. Shortly after Jamie's video spread, a version of Sad Satan appeared on 4chan's paranormal board, posted by someone signing as ZK. This version was different, worse. It contained photographs of mutilated corpses, and reportedly, at least one instance of. Jamie maintained that the version he had played, the original, came with illicit materials he had chosen not to share. That decision, whether genuine or not, made independent verification impossible. No one outside of Jamie had ever played the original version of Sad Satan. This spawned a cascade of fake versions, copycat games, and endless speculation. And then, in 2017, something broke that case open. Or seemed to. A YouTuber named Gary Graves was arrested on charges of possession of. Investigators discovered that Graves also operated a Reddit account under the name Scareberry ZK. That account had been created just days before the graphic version of Sad Satan appeared on 4chan. The implication was obvious to everyone who had been following the case. But there was another theory that had been growing alongside the ZK investigation. Inside a distributed version of Sad Satan, someone found an error log. The computer username attached to that log? Jamie. the owner of the obscure horror corner, the man who first showed the world the game. Had Jamie created Sad Satan himself as a hoax, as a publicity stunt, as an urban legend he was building from the ground up? And then somewhere along the way, a real predator named Gary Graves became drawn to it and made something genuinely criminal? Or was it all something else entirely? The answer still is unknown. Our final mystery is the one that perhaps unsettles people the most, because it lives in that strange space between grief and unreality. In Mexico, around 2001, a late-night television broadcast on Canal 5 would air a program called Servicio a la Comunidad, Community Service. In the early hours of the morning, the program would display the names and faces of missing persons, in hopes that viewers might recognize someone and come forward with information. Most entries were detailed: names, ages, physical descriptions, last known locations, family contacts. One was not. A young woman, 18 years old, disappeared in Mexico City. Her name? Selena Delgado Lopez. No family contact, no physical description beyond her age, and a photograph that looked wrong. Not wrong the way an old photograph looks wrong. Wrong in a way that viewers couldn't articulate. It was too smooth, too still, almost artificial. The entry circulated quietly online for years, passed between people who remembered seeing it late at night, half asleep, and feeling something they couldn't explain. Then in 2020, the story came roaring back. Internet users discovered a Facebook profile belonging to a middle-aged woman named Selena Delgado Lopez. And they discovered something that sent genuine panic through online communities. They had already been added as her friend, without requesting it, without any memory of it. Her profile was shared over 126,000 times by people who were deeply unsettled. The fact that there was no option to unfriend her only made it worse. The rational explanation emerged quickly. The woman had simply changed her Facebook privacy setting in a way that removed the Add Friend button and made her existing friends' connections appear differently. She was an ordinary person who shared a name with an urban legend. But the photograph, that was harder to explain. In September of 2021, a YouTuber named Florecita Dreams published a video comparing the original Canal 5 photograph of Selena Delgado Lopez to a photograph of convicted murderer Derek Todd Lee. The argument was made and widely accepted that the Selena Delgado image was a manipulation of Lee's photograph, a generated or altered face. If that's true, then Selena Delgado Lopez never existed. She was a face constructed from another person's image and placed on a missing person's broadcast, either as a public awareness exercise by Canal 5 or for reasons no one has yet been able to explain. Canal 5 has never officially commented. No record of her disappearance has ever been found in any public database. Whether Selena Delgado Lopez was ever a real person remains officially unknown. 4 mysteries. 4 corners of the internet where the lights went out and something was left behind. Questions that no algorithm, no investigation, and no amount of collective digging has been able to fully answer. What I find most haunting about these stories isn't the darkness in them. It's the edges. The places where you almost know, where the evidence almost connects, where someone almost came forward, where a name almost matched. The internet has changed. It's safer now. It's more monitored. It's more corporate. In a lot of ways, that's a good thing. But something was lost too. That sense of stumbling through unmapped territory, or finding things that weren't meant to be found. These mysteries come from that era, and they may stay unsolved precisely because that era is over. If any of these stories struck something in you, if you have information, a memory, or a connection to any of them, the comment section is open. Because with cases like these, that's sometimes exactly how the next piece falls into place. Thanks for watching.